on, guys? Welcome to the TNF podcast. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Click on that bell for notifications. Also, go on over to hellstartco.bigcartel.com. Use code 20 for 20% off your entire order to get some of the exclusive TNF podcast merchandise. Today, we have a really awesome band today. I found them on Reddit and was completely blown away, which Reddit, that's a hard one because... it's kind of like the worst place of all humanity. You know what I'm saying? I was really surprised that there was a lot of positive response to your guys' track, which was your newest single, Eulogy. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have the band Overturn from Charlotte, North Carolina. What's going on, guys?
Hey, man.
So real quick, introduce yourselves and tell what you do in the band.
Start with you.
I'm Mike, and I play guitar in Overturn.
I am Josh, and I play drums in Overturn.
I'm James, and I play bass.
Spencer, I play guitar.
Awesome. And so how did you guys kind of come together and, as far as like your individual like hardcore journeys, how did those start? And then what led you all to kind of sync up?
Well, funny enough, talking about Reddit, that's actually how this came about. So
a Reddit band.
Yeah, kind of, which I'm not even on that platform at all anymore now, which is funny. But
That's probably a good thing.
yeah, when they did that whole thing where they cut off API access for third-party applications, I was like, I'm out. I couldn't support any of that. But back to the point, like I made a post just trying to find other musicians to play some hardcore music. And this guy responded, and that's kind of where it all kicked off. And then, of course, these two.
Yeah, he's my next door neighbor, and he plays bass. And I met you through your roommate, and then we kind of started writing some like punk together. And then like once I met you, I was like, I already know a bassist, so it just kind of came together like that. We met up for at a brewery and just kind of saw if we got along, which we did. Kind of hit it off, and then we just started. Kind of went off to the races from there, but you can kind of go into the rest. We didn't have a drummer or a singer at the time.
Yeah. Well, so this is like every band today trying to get started. It's like the two hardest things to find I've seen is like finding a drummer and a singer.
Yeah.
Who can like keep up with whatever it is you're trying to do, or isn't already in like 35 other bands, or has like, the time to dedicate. Oh, cool. We just lost our lights. That's fun.
Room's haunted, guys.
Shit.
I think that's motion activated. So like they're gonna have to lean back every once in a while.
Yeah, just let me know.
Well, we'll keep it.
Here means people every once in a while.
It's what they call in acting a happy accident.
Yeah.
It's funny. We can make fun of it, so.
Yeah. So, we were like, okay, we need to write something to get it out there to even try to find a drummer to get them interested in what we were doing. So we just wrote a few things, programmed drums terribly. I mean, like, thank God for all these amazing drum programs, but like, we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, we're programming things that an octopus couldn't play. Like, it's just, we did what we could. And that's actually how we ended up finding our singer who couldn't be with us today. He's out working, but that's kind of how it got started. And then eventually we found this guy who is an absolute gem, Josh. Not that long ago.
He's an angel baby.
He really is.
He's the best.
That's awesome. And so how did you guys kind of get like into hardcore? Like what's your like, amended, abridged individual stories as far as like, your discovery of, because a lot of people find punk rock, a lot of people, get into it through like new metal or, what have you. What set you guys all off on that?
Yeah, for me, it was I grew up in like the New York hardcore scene. I got in through it originally through like my cousin, and kind of just kept like going like hardcore shows from like the time I was 13 till I eventually left New York at 18 before going to Maine for college. Kind of joined up in like the New England hardcore scene for 4 years, moved out to Nevada, was in their hardcore scene for a few years, and before moving here, I've kind of been at it now for I'm 33 now, like 20 years. So I've been but it's been really fun. Like enjoying like the journey of just like being around a really fun community like that. And yeah, like just been in it ever since I was like that old, and it's been a really good time.
Right on.
Yeah, so for me, it started off, I think back like when I was really young, my brother showed me some like behind the scenes from like Ozfest. And I saw just like, this is what like back then metal and everything was, and showed me some of the coolest guitarists I've ever seen. And I was like, all right, I think I'm into this. And then that eventually turned into, I think it was probably like, I don't even remember what show it was on MTV where it must have been Headbangers Ball. And I saw like metalcore and I was like, okay, what is this other aspect that's happening? I like what this is. And, you know, seeing, I think it was Killswitch Engage. And I was like, that's probably where I saw that. And I was like, I want to know more about this. And then it kind of just progressed. I learned more about it. Kind of stayed in that metalcore thing for a little while until later on I ended up joining, I filled in for a guitarist in a band called Namkara. They were on Strike First Records, which is like part of Face Down Records and all.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
They had a guitarist, Octavio, who was like
in Under Oath? That's right. Okay, yeah.
So he had to step aside because he just had a baby and he was, you know, father duty. And so they were looking for guys, and I just happened to be friends with the singer from way back in middle school. We were friends. Saw me at a bar, was like, do you still play? I tried out, got the gig, and went on tour with them for a long time. And just kind of went headfirst into hardcore. Like I was very unprepared. I didn't have a lot of like the lore or knowledge, but just kind of trial by fire and learned and did that with them for a while. And then honestly, after that, I've bounced around through a bunch of different bands. I was in like a prog metal band for a while, like just trying to do the craziest guitar work possible. And then I was like, you know, instead of standing like this and playing guitar the entire time, I kind of miss like enjoying being on stage and not just like feeling like I don't want to miss a note. And I was like, I want to get back to hardcore to where I could like really get into the crowd and have fun. So that's when I started reaching out.
Nice.
Yeah. And I kind of grew up more listening to like pop punk initially. And then kind of transitioned into like the screamo type stuff. And I was really into that when I was young. And I've been in bands since I was like 13, but like I've always loved punk and hardcore, but I was like in Charlotte, for example, I was in like literally a classic rock type band with dudes in their 40s for like several years. But always like listening to the same music that I've always loved. And then I did a cover band for a few years, which was like, you know, it was good money and doing a cover band, but I wasn't super satisfied. So super happy to like meet these guys and play the music I actually love. So that's just been an awesome experience for me. And after being in this band, like, I got to play bass in another band, Stone Man, briefly, just like to fill in, which was really fun too. And I just love the hardcore community and kind of want to just stay involved as long as I can. That's kind of,
oh no.
You gotta have a timer for your stretch.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about my journey. How about you, man?
I'm actually relatively new to the hardcore scene. I grew up listening to a lot of prog metal. My dad was super into a lot of prog rock, and he was a metalhead for the 80s and
a drummer.
What's that?
And a drummer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's the entire reason that I play drums now, but
hey, your dad's the man.
He is.
He's awesome.
Shout out Joe. It feels weird calling him by his first name. That never happens, but I know he's probably going to watch this later. Anyways, but you know, he kind of put me on to, I mean, I've been listening to bands like Dream Theater since there's like a video of me at like 1 year old, like just like throwing down in some diapers, like over top. So, you know, prog metal has always been a really big part of my upbringing. And because of that, and I feel like the way that progressive metal like fuses with a lot of different genres, it's kind of kept my horizons open to playing different kinds of music.
True.
So, you know, I play in a few different projects now, and I have throughout the years, and they've kind of all ranged from different things. Some of them are like, you know, like the classic modern rock. Some of it's more of like a soul R&B fusion, jazz-esque. I don't know. That one's kind of more blue. Anyways, it's just a bunch of different stuff. So, but I've always really felt connected to the idea of just completely going apeshit at shows, and that's what hardcore is about. You get together and you it's like you release that true pent up like frustration that you have with, maybe it's something that's going on in your home life, maybe it's something that amped you up that you saw on the news, maybe it's some other random thing, but whatever it is, we're all kind of getting together to just kind of release all that. And I feel like hardcore does it best. And ever since I started playing some shows with them, getting into that live hardcore scene, it's just been like it's been like an addiction that I didn't know that I had. And it's just been getting fed and fed and fed. And now 2025 is around the corner. They don't even know. They don't even know.
My friend is a stand-up comedian, and he says it's like a disease, like doing stand-up comedy. And like it almost seems like once you play in hardcore, like you kind of like get hooked and become like a lifer, you know? And so I know a lot of people have had that experience. And, you know, I think it's awesome that you guys are out there, you know, kind of pounding the ground and doing stuff. And you had mentioned in your bio that you were into like certain social issues like workers' rights and LGBT rights. So what do you feel like our society is not getting about those things? What do you feel like we need to do differently?
Oh, man, it is rough.
Like, we just want everyone to feel like welcome and at home. Like, it's like the thing is for us, like at our shows, like we want everyone to feel involved and a part of it. We just like, I think for me, a lot of it is I just don't want anybody to feel excluded, you know, for being who they are. But I'll let you kind of go further on that.
Yeah, I mean, like, so it's funny. When we first met up, we were trying to figure out exactly what this was going to be. And it's definitely more, you know, since when we first met. If you listen to like our very first songs, they're completely different. They do still have, you know, a lot of that sort of core messaging, you know, like one of our first songs was definitely about LGBTQ. And then, you know, one of our last EP, we had a song M4A, which is obviously about Medicare and trying to get Medicare for all. You know, I think I have maybe a more personal connection to it than a lot of people. Like I grew up with a disabled mom, and like I've just seen how intense that is and how little help she has and how broken that system is. That motivated it a lot. I mean, obviously the political climate is so polarized right now.
It's crazy.
It used to be that you could have differences of opinions and still be able to have conversations and maintain friendships. And I think probably due to the internet and a lot of other things, it's gotten a lot, like really out of hand. And I think it's like the voices that I feel like need to be amplified are these causes more than anything else. So it's something that I'm passionate about. I think this is a healthy way, like a healthy place to put that energy.
Sure.
Like, you know, I don't think it's appropriate, you know, to go out and start beating the hell out of each other and going crazy. I would much rather do that at a show where we all agree that it's fine.
Yeah.
And like, it's all in good spirit, like, you know, and I don't know, I want to focus on those things. And I know that it's not just me who feels that way.
And then everybody can just go,
bro.
And then everybody could just go and get Waffle House afterwards, you know? And everything's copacetic, you know? So, yeah. And, you know, I'm with you guys on that. You know, I think the hardcore scene has been kind of a place where ideas have been allowed to, you know, kind of flourish and whatnot. I do feel like I agree with you there that we're kind of in a real tense political climate right now, and that, you know, everybody is, yeah, it could go sideways, you know, things could go, you know, one way, things could go another way. And so like, you know, how do you guys kind of like deal with like daily life? Like, what do you do like outside of the band to kind of like, you know, decompress, or, you know, what sort of like outside hobbies do you have?
Oh man. So, you know, doing the photography stuff, going into like, you know, media production. I also just like, I will go down musical rabbit holes. Like, why does this speaker sound different in that cabinet? And I'm like, you know, I don't know if you know Nolly from Periphery, but he's like a pretty famous, you know, audio engineer, and he went and bought like, I think 150 Celestion.
Is that Bulb? Is his name Bulb?
That's Misha, the guitarist in that band. Okay. This is like he used to play bass. He actually isn't even really in the band anymore. He just does production. But, you know, he went down this rabbit hole of like 130 plus whatever vintage 30s to find the one that he wanted. And that's sort of like obsessive thing. And those sort of like detailed projects are what kind of soothe my soul.
Okay.
And I like to take care, like, mostly it's kind of nerdy. I don't know. I love taking care of the cats in my neighborhood. It's true. Like, I trap, neuter, and return the neighborhood cats and care for them. So that's like where a lot of my effort goes. But I also like going down rabbit holes with music history, like specifically hardcore. I just love doing deep dives into that stuff. And then aside from that, just like spending time with family is, as they're getting older and everything, want to enjoy that time with them and friends. And then like, not like the non-productive things. I like video games, like building Gundam models.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about Final Fantasy in here earlier, so I think there's a few like gamers in here, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, I feel like my big decompression thing is just to kind of I'm a social butterfly, so I feel like whenever there's people around, it kind of fuels that energy, and keeping it in the realm of decompressing based off of like these political views and differing opinions and stuff like that. I feel like going and talking to people, because you were saying earlier that the internet has just completely separated and polarized everybody, and like you have one opinion and you're gonna have 1 million people that agree with you and 1 million people that don't, and there's never gonna be that solid in between. And when you're doing that across something like the internet, social media, we were talking about Reddit earlier, there's no fear for putting your opinion out there and completely dismantling like step by step somebody else's argument, because there's you're not gonna get smacked in the face if you say something offensive. If somebody says something smart, you're just gonna say something smart back. And a lot of people, that's like what they do. They just sit there and they get that feel. So I don't know. I feel like hanging out with friends, spending time with family, talking to coworkers, hanging out with people that you've just met and you just struck up a conversation with on the bus, talking, it gives you small little tidbits, right? It lets you know a little bit more about that person and how they act and how they think. But sometimes you'll meet people who are bold and they're like, so what do you think about this polarizing, controversial topic? And then you'll have that conversation with people.
Sure.
But the important thing is just like getting together and like I feel like communicating and having that like that tone and the facial expressions and something that makes a personal communication valued over an online,
the nonverbal communication.
Yeah, like it immediately, you can disagree the entire time, but it just immediately feels so much more like a productive conversation, and it feels rewarding afterwards because like you can talk about hard things, you can talk about complete nothing, like you should just sit here. We were talking, like you said, we were talking about Final Fantasy and whether or not Kingdom Hearts is a Final Fantasy game, which it is, by the way, it is. But like, you can talk about completely meaningless things and it's fine. And it feels, I don't know, for me, it warms my soul, warms my spirit, and it makes me want to continue to talk about things,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. My decompression thing it's
gotta be Mike.
It's just
only one.
This show's hard. It's not most sensor lights. It's not.
It's our first time recording.
I wonder if there's something we could put over there to like have some sort of perpetual motion. So
yeah, that's our sense.
But it just does kind of make this whole thing interesting anyway. So fuck it, who cares? It would be typical hardcore like fare, So,
yeah. My typical thing is I like to do one thing productive to decompress, and usually that's the gym or going for like a walk or something. And then I like Josh. I'm also like a very social extrovert, so I usually like to like play pool a lot. And I like my biggest thing, probably the nerdiest thing about me too, is I love Magic the Gathering. So I'll just go out and just like play with random people at Common Market and other like places like that where like random strangers will come over and be like, I have a deck in my car. I'm like, okay, sick, let's play.
Would you play against JD Vance? Because he plays Magic the Gathering. Did you hear about that?
I'd probably beat the crap out of him, and then I'd steal his deck and just like give it to like, I don't know, sell it and like give it to like a shelter or something like that. The funds in the shelter. But I'd probably do that first, then play with him. Yeah. Other than that, that's funny. Those are like my usual go-to things, like that. And if we're not playing shows on weekends, I love to just go and just take road trips. Like my partner and I will disappear for like the whole weekend and just go camp and just chill and explore like a new place, meet new people, and just those types of like get a bunch of new experiences. They kind of like You know, you grow a lot as an individual from like a lot of the new experiences, the new places you go, and the people you meet. And that's something I definitely value a lot about my decompression and my free time.
Right on. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think it's good to be able to have kind of, you know, interests and influences outside of, you know, what you do as employment, what you do, you know, collectively, like as a band and things of that nature. I guess, what are some of the biggest bands that have influenced you guys, like growing up?
Misery Signals is huge for me.
Nice.
I actually went to their last show in New York. They did Furnace Fest after that, and they did a few up in Canada after that. But I guess it was like the last non-festival U.S. show. It was the closest one I could get to because I was traveling for work otherwise. And that was one of the most special things I've done in a long time. I mean, I ran into the original singer outside, got to say hi, and, you know, just that band was so huge for me. Them mixing in they're like, you know, obviously it's like a metalcore band, I guess a lot of people would say. But they mixed so much of the things I love about hardcore with melody in a way that I feel like is still tasteful. It's really hard to ride that line, I think. I think a lot of guys try. I've tried many times. I've written some stuff that no one will see because it didn't ride the line right. But that's, I think, a beautiful art, and it's hard to do. And I mean, you know, who doesn't love you know, the very first album, like that just blew away.
Were you a fan of Seven Angels, Seven Plagues, though?
Not as much, but, you know, I learned about it later once I got familiar with the rest of the lore. But, you know, I think that was kind of where it started. And then also, like, Comeback Kid did that for me a lot. Same kind of thing, riding that melodic edge. And then funny enough, like, I had already joined that band that was a hardcore band that was doing really well. Well, not joined, I should say. They never officially brought me on board. I was really just mostly filling in with them. Want to make sure they don't get upset about that. And they taught me a lot about hardcore music and kind of opened my eyes to a lot of other stuff. But then funny enough, like meeting these guys, like Mike, you know, we've got a Discord where we share stuff all the time, like inspiration. And opened my eyes to all kinds of stuff since then. So I don't know.
You're kind of a library.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, thoughts, man. I think like a pretty big influence for me to start out with was like kind of my foray into hardcore. Like I said, I like kind of pop punk. So it was like Title Fight was a big thing for me and kind of getting into it. That kind of opened my eyes to it. And then like kind of like the energy and the simplicity in Youth Crew. But then like, you know, I also have a soft spot for just like dumb beatdown.
Same, dude.
And like like he's pretty like intricate with his writing, and I like to I'm a little more straightforward with what I write, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like we complement each other well.
Now, help me out here. When you say beatdown, does that mean like, because back in the day there used to be something called like tough guy hardcore?
Yeah,
kind of the same.
It's kind of the same thing, man. It's like 1013.
Yeah, like throwdown and shit like that.
Yeah,
Power of Christ compels you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I love that shit too. That shit's fun to me. So,
and we were talking earlier, like I really just love kind of straightforward hardcore too. Like, I mean, Terror, like Trapped Under Ice, and I mean, like another band that I got me into it was like the early Turnstile stuff, just rips. So those are some pretty big influences. But I try to just listen to like everything that's coming out as I can. Ends of Sanity, one of my favorite North Carolina bands.
Okay.
And Magnitude, Straight Edge. They're the biggest like Charlotte hardcore band.
Magnitude.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I would say, and I definitely listen to them a ton. So they have to be big influences.
I'll have to reach out to them because I've been trying to get like newer and local bands on the show just because, you know, I mean, there's some really awesome stuff that's coming out of this area. And, you know, we were talking earlier about, you know, like how the whole like Gothenburg Swedish metal style was kind of prominent. Like at least when I was coming up, like in the early, like late 90s, early 2000s, it was all like Prayer for Cleansing, Undying, Archangel, shit like that. So it's nice to see like, you know, kind of bands more in like the traditional vein of things.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely check out Magnitude, Ends of Sanity. They're I think the best doing it around.
Okay, cool. And you were a prog guy.
I was a hard prog guy. Like I mentioned, I came out the womb listening to Dream Theater. Really excited that Mike Portnoy's back in.
Yeah,
that's huge influence for me. Huge, massive influence. But I mean, everything that kind of circulated, I went into Tool, Animals as Leaders, Meshuggah, Periphery, all the kind of proggy stuff. And then slowly but surely, I kind of worked my way. I skipped a lot of like the pop punk scene kid like era. It wasn't until I started dating my now girlfriend that I actually kind of went back and kind of filled out that role. But I jumped pretty hard from prog into just, I'd say beat down equivalent, but I don't know. We were talking about, I think you said something earlier about like they were technically metalcore, some would say. Like nowadays genres are so, like the lines are so blurred, and like one band could be playing this style of music, but because they do these specific things, they're not that genre of music, right? But you know, I'd say for influences, I guess more around this wheelhouse, my guys in Fox Lake, they're awesome. They're a little bit more, they kind of bring in a little bit more of like that hip hop influence, which I'm big into. Unity TX just came through here not too long ago. You know, yeah, I'd say I'm pretty straightforward. Prog and beatdown, and he's just.
Have you ever seen the video of Mike Portnoy and Billy Reimer from Dillinger Escape Plan doing the drum off?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you so good. So who won in your opinion?
Well, okay, listen. I would be remiss if I didn't say that Mike didn't win, and that's literally only just because I have like hyper analyzed everything that man has done since I was alive, and I've like dissected about how this specific move he was like he could have just completely made something up on the fly, and I would have picked it apart, been like, he did this all intentionally for this reason and this. So I don't know. I just think that man's a wizard. But yeah, I got to go with Mike.
Okay, all right.
I got to stay loyal.
Yeah, my like introduction to like hardcore were definitely the bands like Bitter End, Hatebreed, and Terror. And I kind of just grew up listening to them on repeat. And as I got a little older, I found bands like Have Heart, Trapped Under Ice, and Bane. And I'll always remember my old band that was like hardcore adjacent. It was like very like Law Dispute, Defeater type, calmer hardcore. We had the opportunity to play with Trapped Under Ice. We were on tour. We had our one free day of this month-long thing. And they were just like, nah, I don't want to play a heavy show. I'd rather just like rest. And I was always 10 plus years later, I still hold on to that.
The one that got away.
And, you know, lately I'll still find myself weekly going back to bands like that. But, God, I think my new like favorite band in the scene is probably, I don't want to say new, they've been known for a little bit, but probably like Southpaw out of Florida. I listen to them absolutely daily. There's a day I don't listen to like any of their songs. Kubla Khan.
I heard Kubla Khan the other day for the first time, and I'd never heard him. And I was like, I was driving home with one of my friends. We actually went and saw Hatebreed, and I was like, "Is this Bury Your Dead?" And they're like, "No," and I was like, "It sounds like Bury Your Dead," you know?
Oh, yeah, they're fire, and yeah, like I listen to them constantly. Them and also like Backbiter and Miss It Late are also a lot of ones on the daily repeat as well.
Nice. Any band that can drop a song where you have 5 words in the entire song and 2 of them are swear words, they're a great band.
Or just
2.
It's great.
I saw them on this most recent tour. I happened to have one night free while I was in Orlando for a trade show for work, and was able to catch them. And they were, and this is probably a little controversial, they were tighter and more on point than Lorna Shore was, who was headlining, which, don't get me wrong, who doesn't love the vocal, like all the vocal stuff he does, like is obviously insane and incredible. But just like the performance and the actual set was absolutely wild. Just like military precision the entire time. And I mean, all of the breakdowns were just so massive, and just like the production, the lighting, everything. I was expecting it to go to another level when Lorna Shore got out there, and it did. It got different. It didn't necessarily go up. It just kind of stayed the same. I was like, huh. I was kind of shocked, man. They put on a wonderful production.
And they were the second band that played, right? Because Whitechapel played after them?
I think so, yeah.
I'm so jealous that you got to catch that show. I had tickets for that show.
The Greensboro.
Yeah, my lady and I were supposed to go up to Greensboro to catch that show, and we day of go to see one of my students from when I used to teach at a studio near here, he asked me like what time I would be there. So I was like, oh, let me check the ticket time, see what time the doors open. And I go to look at my ticket, and it said that the sender of my ticket had canceled the request.
Oh no.
And I was like, I didn't know you could do that. And so come to find out that apparently on places like StubHub, they can do that, because it's an entire platform just for resale. So the guy like pulled the tickets, and StubHub gave us a refund, but he didn't have to because it wasn't his deal. So basically, apparently that's a thing that people will do, they'll go on and they'll like list a bunch of tickets that they don't have and then pull them. And they don't have to give the refund because StubHub covers that.
Oh wow.
So we got gypped out of seeing that tour like day of, and we were mainly upset because of Kublai Khan. We were really going for Kublai Khan.
They're coming back in April with Killswitch Engaged. I believe the same venue.
Okay. Yeah, I'd go. I like Hangar. It's a good venue. Or no, they played at
Coliseum,
right?
Yeah.
You went to Orlando. I don't know. I'm looking at you like, which one did you go to?
It's a Hard Rock.
Yeah. Anyways,
what's the biggest challenge you guys have being in a band? Being in a band in general, and then being in a band together with each other.
Sketch
easily.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's brutal. Like I have like a full-time career where I am like traveling often. Like I do 4 international trips a year minimum, sometimes more.
Wow. Where do you go?
So last year I was in Krakow, Poland.
Nice.
I was in Bangkok, Thailand last. And then before that was Puerto Rico, and then
Korea?
Korea before that. So South Korea is pretty common for me. It's the company I work for is based out of South Korea. But and then next year we've got like Italy, and then I'm not complaining, right? Like this is awesome, of course.
What? Yeah.
But it's like, it's really hard because it's like, okay, cool. Guaranteed there's at least 4 weeks that I'm gone. And then on top of that, I'll have domestic travel. And then, I've got a side business. I've got, our band. I've got a wife. I've got a disabled mom. I've got all these things to juggle. So for myself alone, it's hard for me to find time to fit everything in. But then we all have our own things going on. Like, our singer Z couldn't be here today because he's a firefighter. And, that schedule is by the book. They plan it out a year in advance. Like the whole year's planned out. So like there's very little flexibility in there, and I know you travel too. And then, up until recently, you were like constantly playing shows like every weekend with like cover band and then giving lessons. Mm-hmm. So, and then of course, like, dude, luckily Mike's more flexible than most.
Yeah. I mean, like,
it's true.
My job keeps me busy, but I don't have to travel a ton. I have a girlfriend, but I don't have like kids to worry about. I do have to help take care of like family stuff a good amount, but, I think I'm probably more available, luckily, and flexible. But yeah, these guys are very busy and scheduling. Like when we are together, it's like we can kind of bang stuff out, and it's awesome.
That's good.
And yeah, it's just tough being like adults trying to do the band thing. Honestly, man.
Yeah. Although I will say, like we have I think we've kind of streamlined it now. We've got the writing process like really locked in to where we do. Yeah, it's like, so we try to get together on Tuesdays, like tonight. And then we will go into this. So I have like a home studio set up. We've got an e-kit because I live in a condo. Can't have a real live kit.
Oh, yeah.
But there's an e-kit hooked up to the software. Our guitars and bass are all hooked up. And we can just bring riffs to the table or bring musical ideas to the table and knock out a pre-production in like a day.
So wait, like you're in a condo, so that means there can't be any like sound output from like guitars or amps or anything?
It can't be anything that's loud. So I basically need to keep it below like 90 dB. Anything more than that, I start to get people pissed off.
Okay.
But dude, 90 dB is plenty loud. Like, yeah, he's smacking the hell out of these E-drums, which are surprisingly not quiet, even though they are, not nearly as loud as a real drum set. but we're all running it through the studio monitors. They're all still cranking. I do have a giant subwoofer that I have to turn down sometimes. So that'll piss people off.
Yeah.
But we run our guitars and bass and everything through it. It's plenty good to just write in the room that way. Mm-hmm. And then we'll go to the practice space and run it for real. And then, once we actually get something to a point that it's near a release, then we can worry about tracking everything the way we want. But it's like, you got to write it first before any of that happens.
Right.
And this works out great because we can chop stuff up, move it around. I don't know if that fits here, pull it over there, whatever. And it all sounds ridiculously good already, like to the point where it's hard to tell.
Do you guys all write together collectively, or is there kind of one visionary in the band, one or two? And then someone will write some riffs and then bring them forward, and then, everybody kind of expands upon that, or is it all kind of a collective thing that you guys do at practice?
I feel like the two of them really kind of have bolster, and I'm fairly new to the whole writing process, and I joined somewhat recently, but it kind of seems that like they just kind of put shit down somewhere, and like sometimes he'll pop it in the Discord. I know you probably have like files and files on your computer, and like, I mean, not too long ago he came in and was like, hey, can I play this thing that I've had stuck in my head for however long, and push came to shove, came to next step, came to that, and it's just kind of escalated from there. And I mean, I think the four of us were in the room when that happened, so it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like we all kind of have our different specialties with this stuff. So, I know a lot of the time you'll bring in like some really great like structure, or like, hey, here's a bunch of chord progressions I think are great. Let's roll with some of these, or even some riffs too. And, what I do honestly all the time is I'll just pull my phone out while I'm at home. And if I feel like, couch riffs are the best. Like, you're sitting there, you just got your electric guitar unplugged, and you're, just screwing around. And then all of a sudden you'll play something and you're like, ah, shit, I need to listen to that. And you listen and you're like, okay, that's good enough. And you pull it out, you just do a quick video. I save it to a folder that's backed up. And then it's like, all right, I've always got that. And then next time we get together, I'm going to be like, oh, hey guys, check out this catalog of things that we've written. What do we want to pick from? And I know that you're doing the same kind of thing, sharing it in our Discord. And then like our singer Z will like write lyrics too. Like, so we organize everything in Discord. So we've got a different channel for each sort of thing. So like there's one called Wordcraft, which is just for him, where he's writing lyrics, or anybody really.
And then there's riff ideas, which I spam.
Yes, constantly.
In the best way.
Yeah.
And one's for business too, like marketing, merch, whatever, all that sort of stuff.
I have a band chat on Instagram, and it's cars, girls with big butts, or jokes. That's all. It's hardly any music or riffs come through there. But Discord, yeah, I know a lot of people use Discord because for like game playing and RPGs and stuff. Yeah.
It's just a good way to organize everything, because we do also have an Instagram filled with all kinds of just like ridiculous stuff. Memes and just
like anytime we accidentally say something important, like he's like, yo, put this in the Discord, because
I'll be like, dude, because I'll never find it again. I will never see it again. I won't know. It'll be like, oh yeah, we got this show offer, and you put that in the Instagram.
It just sandwiched with 30 memes.
Right. No, I'm never gonna see
it. Yeah. I know how that is, definitely. So like, as far as like personalities are concerned, like who is probably the jokester? Like who is...
I think Mike is.
Yeah, Mike, for sure.
I can be. I've been known to be silly.
Okay.
And I think Z too, our singer.
I feel like it's you and Z.
You guys together,
dude. We're on stop.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's like watch.
Kind of a miracle that everything gets done.
Yeah, for real.
Do you guys ever play practical jokes on each other? Or?
We have, yeah.
A little bit.
I can't think of anything off top though.
There was that time.
Go ahead. You go.
There was a time where I kept trying to fake kiss you in Virginia.
Oh yeah, that was cute.
He wasn't faking. He was not really.
Do you remember when you got Z thinking that you shaved your head for like a week or two?
Oh yeah, like I just so those like Snapchat filters, like make your bald. I just like he's a fireman, has like really close cut hair, and I was like, dude, you're just like a really big influence. I got my, and I sent like a filter of me bald, and he's like
so convinced,
and it looked real. He's like, dude, no way. And I'm like, I just wanted to let you know. And we let this go for a few days.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think it was
maybe a week.
I think it was maybe a week.
Yeah,
and he hadn't seen him in person, because he's always so busy. He didn't see. So every time we would be talking about, man, Mike's hair looks so good. Like, I love that he did this.
Yeah, they were all in on it. So
it was great.
My old bandmates convinced me I had herpes for a weekend.
Oh,
God.
For a whole weekend.
A whole weekend, and I'm sweating bullets. No, yeah, there was some girl that they knew, and they came to a band practice one time, and things had happened between me and her, and they were like, they said, yeah, by the way, so and so has herpes, and I was like,
oh, really?
Okay. Well, no, they didn't know that I didn't know that they had known anything that happened. So I was like, they had me going, and I was just quiet the whole band practice. It's like, oh, fuck.
just spiraling.
I was like, oh my, and they're just sitting there laughing, so good stuff. So now as far as like, what you guys have planned for, upcoming shows and, writing, I noticed you guys had a bunch of singles and then you had your EP from 2023. Like, what do you guys got in the works?
Well, there might be something before the end of the year. It's getting kind of late right now. Of course, once the holidays get around, everything gets tough. But we've got big plans for 2025. We're going to be playing as many shows as humanly possible. I've also, like, with work, pulled back on how many trips I'm going to be doing and all that sort of stuff to try to make sure that I'm more available. And we're going to have a heavy release schedule next year.
Okay.
So I think we're going to try to put out something new. Like, I'm not going to say how often, but really often.
Okay.
Now that we've got this whole thing streamlined, this latest single, we spent a lot of time getting it dialed in. We learned a lot of things. And now that whole process is like really slick, we're going to be moving real fast.
Nice.
So lots of new singles. Lots of also new merch and stuff. We've got something for you that we'll share.
Shit, I'm happy. Nice.
We got some prototypes here. We'll share one with you.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
And we're just gonna try to get out there and play as many shows as we can. Hopefully with the lights on.
Yeah. I was saying this arm's getting a workout.
Yeah.
It feels ominous every time it happens.
Yeah.
Now, I always have to ask too, favorite venues to play.
Oh man, in North Carolina,
out of North Carolina, wherever.
Dude, I think probably just because we did it frequently for a while, the Milestone will always hold a special place in my heart. And then I also had a really good time playing at the Rabbit Hole in Charlotte, Plaza Midwood.
Yeah. I saw Fury 5 and Madball there.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be like a really important venue to pay attention to here in Charlotte, because we don't want every show just to be at the Milestone or like Snug Harbor or something. Like, I feel like we need more venues of that like size. And
it's a nice venue.
Air conditioning too.
Oh yeah, it's terrific.
We need some veteran hall shows. Yeah. I think like we don't really have that going on too. I like the idea of smaller venues with like less regulation, just kind of doing what you want, and like that's kind of as close as you're gonna get currently. Like there's handfuls. Like we've been to some house shows, but like
those are the funnest.
They are, man. But there's not like established houses that like, I mean, there's like the Commie House like in South Carolina, but like Charlotte doesn't have like a ton of like hardcore specific ones, and in my experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say back in the day when I was playing a lot of shows, I got to play what was then called State Theater in St. Petersburg, Florida, which was just one of the most, like, when I grew up in the Tampa Bay St. Pete area. Okay. I was always like seeing the bands that I wanted to be one day at that place. It was a pretty large venue, and then one day, got to play there, and that's for me was one of the most special ones for sure.
Nice.
Anybody, you, man?
Favorite overall venue. This sounded a little pompous, but it's called the Knee, or it was called the Knee. It was a house venue that was in Keene, New Hampshire, and it's called the Knee because I snapped my knee playing there for their opening weekend.
And they just called it that?
They called it the Knee.
Wow.
I'm born.
Dude, he also dislocated his knee when we played a show at Above Board skate park. And we had to get an ambulance. Our videos, the live video,
it's up there.
The guy now producing shot it.
Yeah.
And
it's great.
Yeah, he's awesome. But you can catch his injury at the end of it. And I think you can hear him shouting, "Call 911.
Yeah, I'm like, call an ambulance. Call an ambulance. Pointed at the guy, and I'm like, you do it.
And he didn't do it.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I had this set where I like to play barefoot, and
And he was
You know what?
the resident posi jumper before I started.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
On this light. I don't know. I'm gonna wear shoes forever now.
Yep.
I know.
Are you going to get back to jumping?
Yeah.
Just be safe.
I've done enough PT. I think I'm good now.
Thankfully, the singer is first responder, so he was just immediately on.
Oh yeah, that helps.
It didn't help. What about you, man?
Oh yeah. What was the question? No. No. In terms of like hardcore venues, I haven't played at much of any. I mean, obviously we played the Rabbit Hole not too long ago, and I had a lot of fun there. I'd been there previously to see who was it? A couple of my friends are really big into like the EDM scene here. And I know that the Rabbit Hole used to be a big spot for a lot of DJs to come through. I don't know if it still is or not, but when we played there, it was a lot of fun. And I didn't play at the original location, but the new spot for Amos South End. Really, really cool area. It's got the whole like double decker thing. They got the balcony up top, the floor down on the bottom. The stage is a really good size. So that was a really, really cool spot to play. But for like hardcore venues, I one day I'm hoping to break my milestone V card. I'm hoping to hand that in soon. I've seen a bunch of shows there. I've gone to Welcome to the Family a couple of times.
Shouts out.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll be on the stage next time I'm in there, but we'll see what happens.
It's a great little venue, and you know, like if you look at you know, all the tags that are on the wall, like just the history that's there. You know, you got like Bad Brains, Dead Kennedys, Nirvana.
Nirvana's set from there is on YouTube.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to watch this now. Wow, that's crazy.
It's just audio, but it's still cool.
Yeah, I mean that's wild though. I mean, like that was a real honor getting to play that venue too, like back in the day, because they call it the CBGBs of the South, you know. So, and it's pretty fitting, you know, because I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to CBGBs in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I wish.
It's definitely, well, I mean, I never went there either, but like one of my old friends' bands played there. I don't know if they had problems with the power or not, but
Was it Shadow's fault?
Shadow's Fall. Ooh, that's a good one. They definitely, you know, it's kind of got that real grimy, like skeezy kind of punk feel, you know. So, but yeah, it's a real cool venue. So, and you know, as far as like, you know, one of the things I always ask people is because, you know, I come from like an entertainment background. I always have to ask, like, what are you guys watching? What are you guys, reading? What, as far as media outside of music, what do you got?
I'll start off. I just recently finished this book that I loved, Musashi. It's just like, it's historical fiction about a samurai back in like the feudal period in Japan. And that took a long time for me. I'm a slow reader, and it was like 1,000 pages, which for me is a lot. But that's awesome. I just rewatched Breaking Bad for the third time.
Wow.
Every few years I kind of give that a rewatch, and then really been into horror movies like on a kick recently. So super open to recommendations if you have any.
I just saw Longlegs here recently.
That was great.
Was on the fence about it. I like that director Oz Perkins a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the best thing I saw him do, but it was definitely worth watching. I think Nicolas Cage in that is really like interesting, you know,
Yeah.
like he's very kind of, I describe this to people. I'm like, he's in the movie, but he's not. Like he's there, but it's almost like he is not there as a character.
Yeah.
It's really weird to describe it that way, but it was a lot of fun. And, you know, if you got like AMC or Shudder or anything like that, there's like a whole slew of like 70s and 80s. Like I love all the like Italian like slasher movies,
Yeah.
like the late 70s, early 80s. All that shit is my jam. And I just recently went as Jason from Friday the 13th Part 3. So
Nice.
I mean, I love slashers. You know, they're a lot of fun. So yeah, AMC, Shudder, Longlegs, good stuff.
Yeah, man. I think you saw that, but yeah, I just saw Smile 2. That was a banger. And then yeah, other media is like I said earlier, just a lot of PlayStation 5. So catch me online.
Hell yeah. What you got?
I don't watch a whole lot of TV shows as much anymore. I spend a lot of my free time playing a lot of video games. I've been going back through The Last of Us. Got to catch I haven't seen the HBO Max TV show version of it.
Wait for you experience.
I've heard it's amazing. I've heard it's incredible, and I love Pedro Pascal, so I'm all about that.
Daddy.
Literally Father Pascal. But I wanted to make sure. I know that I've heard that part 2 isn't involved in any way, shape, or form, but I wanted to make sure part 1 was fresh, and I wanted to play part 2 before I saw the show, because I just figured I'd go in order there. But like Mike here, I feel like it's been video games and a lot of horror movies. My girlfriend, she is like, if you could have watching and knowing everything about any horror movie ever created ever, as a hobby, then that would be exactly what she does. Because I swear you can ask her what year a random movie came out, she'll have it locked in. It's crazy. But
okay.
I've been really wanting to see Terrifier 3. I've heard some.
Yeah, it's too much for me.
It was, and like I love like gore, but not when it's done excessively. Like the first one was like, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, and then it just got to be excessive, and then the second one they were just like really just going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And so I kind of like don't really have any desire to see the third.
And that's fair. That's super fair. That's super fair. I love I can't remember his name, but whatever the actor's name is that plays Art the Clown, he's just too good not to watch. Like,
okay,
he's just, I don't know, I think he's hilarious, in the way that he's able to deliver things without ever saying a word is crazy. But yeah, I feel like probably a lot of games, a lot of horror movies. That's where I'm at.
Check out All Hallows Eve. It's a 2-hour anthology movie, but it introduces Art the Clown. It is it's what made his top character so popular. He had 3 and now 4 movies.
Yeah.
So this is before Terrifier then?
Yeah, it came out I believe in 2019 or 2020.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's good actually. It's really good.
Same director though?
I don't know about that one.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm definitely not bit into TV shows as much anymore, but huge podcast person. I religiously listen to Creepcast.
Love Creepcast.
And the lights going on. That's spooky.
That's
spooky.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. I love Morbid, Mr. Ballin, and Run Fool are all probably my top 4. I would try to read a little more. I'm on the Alien book series. Like I watched Romulus.
What did you think of Romulus?
It's my 3rd favorite one of the whole franchise.
Okay.
I loved Romulus.
Okay.
It was Aliens, Alien, then Romulus.
Oh, the correct order.
Yeah.
The correct order.
Absolutely.
I was really into, I don't know, has anybody else not seen it, or?
I have not seen it.
You've not seen it. Okay. I was really into it, like the atmosphere, because I think they really brought it back to like that original like horror feel. But like midway through the movie, it lost me. And if you've seen it, you know what part I'm talking about. And I was just like, no, like you guys had such a good thing going, and then it completely lost me. But I don't know. We said Alien, and then this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked it that much. Like like a few of us, I'm a huge like horror junkie, and like I've been watching a lot of like old ones. Like I watched the original Puppet Master 2 nights ago. I watched the original Willard last week.
Oh, that's a good one.
It was really good.
Yeah.
I started the sequel, like the 70s sequel was not as.
There's a sequel in the 70s?
Yeah.
With Bruce Davison or the main guy?
No, it's somebody else. I think it has a different name too, but the same like plots. It's supposed to be like a weird sequel. It doesn't make any sense, but no, I'm really big into that as well. And then haven't been gaming as much, but when I do, it's been Elden Ring. So
Nice.
Yeah, for me, I'm not a big horror movie guy like these dudes. I don't know. I like drama. I like complicated things. Cerebral movies in general, I find really entertaining. Just something that could completely grasp my attention, like without a doubt. Like I'm not even thinking about my phone, kind of like into it type thing. I have my wife and I watch a ton of movies and television. Like basically once I finally like stop working around like 10:30 or whatever, I'm like, all right, let's check our list of shows or, whatever movie had come out recently and watch it. I would say the new Penguin's insane. I don't know.
I hear that's really good. Yeah, I didn't watch The Batman, so
I don't know that it's necessary.
okay.
It didn't seem like it was.
You should still watch the new Batman because it's awesome.
Yeah,
I heard mixed reactions on it.
I think it's awesome. I think anybody who tells you it's bad is a liar. Don't listen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you think it's bad? Because I just called you a liar.
No, I don't feel that strongly about it. I am going to pull up my list of shows really quick so I make sure I actually call out this one. I can't remember the name of it. It was recently with Vince Vaughn. He plays a detective. Man, I should know this, but brand new show from him that they just finished the very first season of it. It's actually very interesting. It's got a narrator a lot of the time, which is a dynamic you haven't seen in these sorts of like high production value shows in a while, but it's great. It's like really on point. So anyway, I really liked that show that I can't remember the name of. Yeah. Podcast wise, I mean, with like what we were talking about before with the election and everything else going on, I just try to consume. There's so much new information every single day.
Yes.
That I'll listen to like a podcast like The Daily and just get like a synopsis of what happened that day, and honestly try to stay more disconnected from typical news sources, like broadcast. I don't do broadcast television like ever. Like that's if I'm at a hotel, like I'll try it. I'll be like, let me see what people are watching. And I'm always floored. I'll go through every channel and I'm like, I feel more stupid than when I turn the TV on. And I feel like gross. Like I want to get out of my room now and go for a walk. But anyway, I'll listen to the Daily podcast. Also, Hard Fork, which is like a technology one. You know, I mean, I work in like technology, so I like to nerd out on that stuff. But yeah, you know, that, and then also video games when I have a chance. Helldivers, we'll do some dives together. And then most recently, my wife and I are playing the latest release of Diablo.
Okay.
They did like an expansion pack. Couch co-ops are huge for me because
Couch co-ops.
Yeah, so me and my wife can play on one screen together.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, it feels more productive. I feel like I'm doing something for us and we have a good time doing it. And it's not, I always feel weird if I'm going to put on my headset and then play a game in silence while my wife is sitting on the phone. Yeah, I don't know. It feels, I don't like that. So this is really good. We've been enjoying this latest expansion pack. So
have you guys,
good. The timing.
Have you guys played Visage?
No.
It was an older game. I think it was like 2019 or so. Scariest fucking game I've ever played. Oh,
I want to try it.
Just watch the trailer for it and you'll be like, I want to play this. Like it was fucking terrifying. Like, and a buddy of mine and I were playing it and we were like we had to shut it off. We were like, fuck this game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Crazy. Like I said, 2019, and I think they did like a re-release like a few years ago, but
is it like on the consoles and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's Xbox and PS5 now.
Oh yeah.
It reminds me of a game. I haven't seen that game, but just the way you've described it and talked about how you felt about it. Have you ever played the game Control?
No.
About that one? Oh, buddy. That's probably one of the best games I've played in like a long time. I couldn't put it down. Oh, and the what is it? That new one, Alan Wake.
Oh, okay.
That game,
I haven't played it yet.
Crazy. It's like sci-fi / horror. Like I don't even like horror movies, and that was really good. I got into it.
Okay,
but it's a video game version.
All right. Well, any parting words? Any words of wisdom? Anybody you guys want to shout out?
Man. I don't know. I mean, you know, like look out for what we're doing in 2025. Thank you for having us here, of course.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, shouts out to a lot of our local band friends out here. You know, Jake from Welcome to the Family Fest, shout out to him, putting on some of the biggest shows in hardcore in Charlotte. Pete as well, of course. I don't know. You guys got anything?
Yeah, shout out to Blind Eye Booking for sure. They're starting to put out some really cool stuff. Them and Mosh for Lives.
And Hemlock Booking out in Nashville. I think they're putting on the show with like Ends of Sanity, Invoke.
Raising money out there for the floods.
Right?
Yeah.
How is that out there, by the way? I haven't heard a lot of updates. Like,
he's kind of involved with more of that.
Yeah, so my mom was living out there. So she was back past Spruce Pine in an area called Newland. And they saw like 25 foot of water rise in a short period of time. She lost her home, she lost her car, she lost everything. Like it's whole cities were just like now a slab of mud. And I went out there and I got her and brought her home. And it was like, I mean, as I'm driving in, I'm driving behind a line of Humvees. There's a Chinook landing at the Asheville airport with supplies. And then there's just trees down everywhere. Roads are washed out, and it straight up looks like a war zone. Like it felt like you were in a war zone. Like absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know, look, she's fine. I'm happy that she's safe and she's healthy. But there's like tons of people who still need help out there. And it's crazy. It's like, it's been about a month and it's kind of out of a lot of people's heads. Like anybody who's not in North Carolina, they're not really talking about it anymore, or not nearly as much. And people in Florida still need help too. Like, these sorts of things I don't think are slowing down. I think if anything, we're going to see a lot more of this as time goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought a 1,000-year flood in the middle of the mountains like that? It just, no one even had a, flood insurance. Why would you?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, them booking shows out there to support people. Would you say Hemlock, right?
Hemlock. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's up. It's good for the scene, but.
And big shout out to you for having us.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this has been a great experience, and you guys have been awesome because, like, I don't get to do it this format very often. It's typically on StreamYard or sometimes one other person. So this has been a real challenge, but it's been fun simultaneously because you guys have been an awesome group of guys.
With the light turning off, it's been awesome.
Fucking, that's why that game Visage, that shit happens in there all the time. It's fucking terrifying. Again, I want to thank Overturn for being on the show. You guys have been fucking awesome. We'll have to do it again sometime, and let me know when your next show is in the area. I know you did earlier, but I'm not gonna remember. So give me a refresher, and we'll chop it up and stuff. I actually have a band out of New York that I play with, so hopefully we can hook up some shows either up there or down there, New York hardcore. So
down.
Excellent. All right, so I want to thank everybody for tuning into the show. You can support these guys on all their social media platforms. We'll post them here in the comments, and follow them on Spotify, YouTube Music, all that good stuff. And as I mentioned before, I have a merchandising brand called Hell's Art Merch Co. You can follow hellsartco.bigcartel.com. Use code 20 for 20% off your entire order. We're going to be eventually merging everything over to a .com address, so be on the lookout for that. And follow me on Instagram, all those other outlets. And support these guys, what they're doing. Support Charlotte and the hardcore scene. Everybody, thank you so much. Namaste. God bless. Be good, everybody. Thanks.
Hell's Heart, lights again.